could have used a 8 p.m. tip last night for the Warriors opener, huh?
No.
Yes.
No.
Don't be selfish just because you want to be in bed early.
But why?
Because the first game went to double OT, and Peacock was freezing for people like me.
Well, that's your internet.
No, that's the cock all over the globe, my friend.
No, the cock was running smooth for me. Yeah.
Just wait till you get older.
I was multi-screening.
Yeah, I get it. Like, a lot of people don't want to be up that late. But like last night was a perfect example of why I'm all in for the 8 o'clock tips. And I get it, like the people that work the press conferences.
Yeah.
Steph Curry better not keep a lot of people waiting, but he's going to. So this is what happens. They don't want to have spillover like we saw last night with the new NBC broadcast.
Yeah.
The Thunder and Rockets go to double OT, and then the Warriors for a good deal of time past the first quarter starts on Peacock. And I experienced some freezing. I'm plugged into my hard line when it comes to my Xbox when I'm watching TV on Peacock. But yeah, a little slow for me, but whatever.
Well, why? I'd rather because I don't blame anyone who was pissed for last night and what happened, but I felt Peacock can do a little better in the multi-view area where they could have two games going on at once. Like if you want to lure people into Peacock, don't just have one individual screening game where you have to switch back and forth and you can barely even switch back and forth. Like it takes forever to switch from one game to another. The thing with Peacock that gets me too is they do the thing where it automatically goes to like the next suggestion that it has.
Yeah.
And so I tried to open the Warriors game, but the button on the Roku remote wasn't working. So instead, I watched like a 30-second ad so I could watch the John Wayne Gacy documentary.
And that is thrilling.
Yeah, I didn't need to see that.
Good times had by all with the John Gacy doc.
Yeah, I needed to see the Warriors kill the Lakers. I didn't need to see a human being as a serial killer.
Yeah, didn't he like to dine on brains?
Yes.
Interesting. What'd you think of the whole return to NBC for the NBA? Did you watch any of the pregame stuff or the nostalgia?
I didn't. I was taking a nap. It was a long nap, and I ended up waking up in like the middle of the first quarter during the Thunder and Rockets. So I didn't really catch any of that. But overall, not mad. I'm just not I hate saying it because I just hate being so critical of guys who are legends of the game, but I'm just not a big Reggie Miller guy. So having him as an analyst, I think I saw someone, I think it was Damon who even reposted it, but someone said it's like the NBA is moving into a brand spanking new apartment and Reggie Miller is just the old couch that they can't get rid of.
Yeah. Reggie Miller's never been good on TV to me. And NBC's going to milk this one interview that Mike Tirico did with Michael Jordan for an entire season. I guarantee you. It's going to be the same clothes, same type of format.
Yeah.
It's just old stories of Michael Jordan to give you that nostalgia of the NBA on NBC. And I did like the opening where they interviewed current players. They're like, so when you think of the NBA on NBC, what do you think of?
Right.
And dude, I remember it, but like that's, it's kind of before my time, your time as well. When you're asking these kids, I appreciate that everybody they asked, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, everybody was like, I don't remember, dude. I was a baby. I wasn't born.
Yeah.
I don't remember the NBA on NBC.
The thing that I do like though, from what I saw, I didn't watch it live, but I did catch some clips because I was interested in seeing what it sounded like with Vince Carter and McGrady and Carmelo Anthony. And what I do like and what it seems like it's going to be, as opposed to what it might be on ESPN tonight, it's going to be about basketball. And it's not going to be Charles Barkley's vendetta against San Antonio women or Shaq getting butt hurt because you're going 1, 2, 3. It's not 1, 2 back to 1. All those things that made us laugh. I thought the time had run its course with that show anyway, and I didn't really think it was great in promoting the sport. Like I don't know. I don't enjoy watching three. I mean, more so not so much Kenny the Jet Smith, but I don't like watching two other guys who haven't really heard of some of these players in the league when it feels like they have this biased take towards their playing days and they can't really be objective towards the game. Maybe it'll change with ESPN, but if you're watching that show for basketball analysis, which not a lot of people did, they were more watching it for entertainment, but I did want a little bit of, ooh, I'm going to learn something here.
That's not going to be the case with that show. And it feels like ESPN's monopolizing anything that's sports entertainment these days. They have Pat McAfee, they have Rich Eisen, they have the NFL, they have now the Inside the NBA. And from what I've seen this night, tonight, it looks like it's the same product. It's just they're gonna riff a little bit on the product placement. As long as they don't mess with that show, I think it'll be a good thing. But if you're watching that show for information on basketball, you're watching the wrong, broadcast.
Yeah, and I can only watch the pregame show. I'm not really big on watching postgame shows because I got to go to bed early. But on the pregame show, like, show me why I should be interested in this game. Like, drum that up for me. Like, that's not what you really got with Inside the NBA, and I think you got a little bit more of that with NBC because NBC, I don't really like their Sunday Night Football programming, to be honest. I think the personalities on that Sunday Night Football pregame show are kind of dull. Like Jason
You
Garrett.
don't like Jason Garrett being all weird?
Jason Garrett does not interest me,
With his side, like, the frozen tundra just got hotter today.
Yeah. That's not my cup of tea. So yeah, I thought NBC though, like pregame wise, building it up so that you have interest in these players and you feel like you're watching something beyond the game, beyond what's happening on the court or on the field. If they could do that, then I'm all in. But hey, we got this for the next 11 years, so no point in complaining about it now and them wanting to go back to TNT.
Nope. And I think this is tonight will be one of 3 broadcasts for the rest of the calendar year for the NBA, Inside the NBA. They're only doing like 3 selective things. And then it'll be more of a continuous thing after football.
Yeah.
You mentioned the NBC pregame show. Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, Carmelo Anthony. Someone needs to tell Carmelo Anthony, you got to wear a suit, dude. Like, it's your TV debut. The other guys are wearing suits. You're dressing up like Al Davis in a tracksuit. Not a good look.
Like it's 7 p.m. in Brooklyn.
Exactly. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa, we're coming to you on a Wednesday night. We wanted you guys to watch the Warriors opener, and we'll talk about that. Along with football, we'll talk about the Raiders. Man, just getting their ass kicked by the Chiefs. Can't say I'm surprised. It's not the lowest of the low to me when it comes to the Raiders. Had a lot of people ask me about that, but it's definitely not. We'll talk about the 49ers win against the Atlanta Falcons and everything else from Week 7 in the NFL. But before we do that, we talked a little bit about this on Saturday when there was a report that they were closing in on this deal for Tony Vitello to be the next manager of the San Francisco Giants. Today it was official. He will be the next manager. He gets a 3-year deal, $3.5 million each year, so to get 10 total. No Major League Baseball experience whatsoever. Did not play, did not coach. He's just been coaching Tennessee very successfully to 3 appearances in the College World Series. Went to the championship round in 2024 and won the damn thing. But this reaction to the move today, I wouldn't say it's divided. I think a lot of people are happy about the move. They love the move, but I think it's because they're blindly following Buster Posey. But I want to get your opinion on it, Stephen, because we'll get the press conference a week from tomorrow on October 30th. He'll be introduced. But what's your thoughts on the move now being official?
Well, it's not just his time with Tennessee. He's been relatively successful throughout his coaching career, even though it might have been as an assistant coach to several teams, whether it's Arkansas or Missouri, as Max Scherzer was talking about. And there's a quote he had that I do want to get to. But I don't know how you can't be, like, at least intrigued by this move. You don't have to be convinced that this team is going to get back to their playoff ways. And if people want to follow Buster Posey, that's fine. I was saying it before they even hired a manager, and once Bob Melvin was gone, like, it's officially Buster Posey's team now. And if this is the direction that he wants to go, I'm very intrigued with this move. And I just think it's bringing an injection of life into a team, which you haven't really had. God, excuse me, which you haven't really had, like, damn near ever. Like it's not just unprecedented in that he's the first to ever go from the college to the pros and without ever having any pro experience. But if you go back to baby Roger Craig, much older gentleman, to Dusty Baker, to Felipe Alou, to Bruce, to Gabe Kapler, then to Bob Melvin. Yeah, they haven't had a guy like this as far as his personality goes. They haven't had something of almost like a rock star, really, at Tennessee. Like they haven't had that, and especially with the way, but that's also the way college baseball is in the SEC, right? If anyone watches those games during the College World Series, like it is just a different type of sport over there. So whether that translates to the major league level, I don't think anyone actually knows. But yeah, I am very intrigued by this move, and I'm looking forward to it. I like hearing. I've listened to that entire Greg Olson podcast that he did earlier today, where he spoke for 50 minutes. He has a very interesting philosophy. I'm curious to see if that's going to resonate with big league players, because it clearly does at the youth level and the collegiate level. But look, he built a winning culture there in Tennessee. I hope he could do the same with the Giants.
I'm very intrigued. It's an outside the box thinking move. And I want to bring up a caller that we had today on the show. His name's Rick. And he said that this has to be the alternative to beating the Dodgers, because you're never going to convince superstars to sign here. And I agree with that. I think that despite having Buster Posey, the bright lights of New York or the money that the Dodgers have is always going to be more intriguing than what San Francisco can offer.
Sure.
And I think that Buster Posey's philosophy is, yeah, we can go out and spend some money. We'll occasionally go and get free agents, but we have to build it up with the farm system. And I've been texting with our guy Alon, who's going to fill in for you this Saturday, and he watches a lot of college baseball, and he says this guy knows how to identify talent and to build it up. And I think that's what Buster Posey wants to do, is to not really start from the beginning, because he has a roster on his hands, but he wants to make sure that let's control what we can control. We have to build up our team from within. If I can't convince players to sign here, then I want to make sure that this guy knows where to look to get talent from college baseball and build up our minor league system as well. But no doubt about it, this move is fucking nuts. It is. It's just crazy. I think it's the craziest Bay Area coaching hire since Jim Tomsula. And just to put that in perspective, Jim Tomsula had head coaching experience with the Rhine Fire when NFL Europa. If you want to go further than that, I think it's about as crazy as Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin had no NFL experience. He was just an co-offensive coordinator with Steve Sarkisian with Pete Carroll at USC. And Al Davis wanted Sark, and he said no. So he hired Lane Kiffin to be the head coach, and that turned out to be terrible. Not saying this is going to be terrible by any means. I just don't know. I have no idea what to make of this. And I think a fair question to ask Giants fans is, if Farhan did this, would you love this? And I think overwhelmingly people would say no, absolutely not. But it's different. Farhan, you didn't have trust in, and Buster, you do. But I understand that Buster Posey traded for Rafael Devers, but besides that, you can trust Buster Posey, the player. I don't think you could trust Buster Posey, the executive, right now. This is a crazy-ass move. And it's kind of, I'm glad that Buster has his guy for the next 3 years. Maybe it's longer than that. But Buster has never been an executive in Major League Baseball before. This guy's never coached at the Major League level before. So they're tied at the hip.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You know what's funnier, though, man? It's baseball. Like, it's baseball. Like, I don't even think there's as big of a jump between college and the pros in terms of being a manager as, say, there is college in the NFL. I was actually kind of surprised that he's the first to ever be hired straight out of college. I was surprised by that. Like, what? That's never happened before? I know there's a 3 level of the minor leagues and you got to work your way up. I understand all of that, but I'm surprised there hasn't been one that's as successful. And I'm thankfully going to be available to go to that press conference next week. And I'm really curious to hear his perspective on that. Like, why hasn't that happened before? Because I think he has like a lot of insight. The dude, the thing is, it's like he's also kind of made for TV as well. I told you, I didn't know who this guy was on the MLB draft panel. I had no clue who he was on MLB Network. They weren't putting up a graphic of his name or anything, and I should have known. But I didn't know he was that crazy coach from Tennessee, and he's giving some really sound analysis with these players. So I was kind of surprised by that. And I'm just not worried about like I don't know. I'm not as concerned with the changes at the college to the MLB level. Like, it's baseball at its fundamental, at its core. It's a relatively simple sport. You got to connect with the players. You got to make the right bullpen decisions. You got to make sure that you communicate things well. Like, I don't know how good Bob Melvin was at that. You heard Logan Webb have his back, but Logan Webb was the captain of this team. I wonder how Bob Melvin connected with the rest.
That's fair, but there's a reason why there's never been a college level coach.
Yeah, but what is that reason?
I would love to find out, but I think that there's a good reason for it, though. No, I mean, dude, I ask around. I don't watch college baseball. I don't, but people say there is a huge drop off from college to the pros. There's an easier transition from the NFL or from college football to the NFL or even college basketball to the NBA. But there's only been a handful of guys that have been successful. And when you really think about it, like, most of the time it does not pan out. Even the best of the best from college, Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Rick Pitino, John Calipari, all failed at the professional level. So I'm not saying this guy's going to fail. I just think it's risky as hell. It is risky. But you know what? I kind of like it because it's bold. And I hear people say that he's got the juice, he's got the enthusiasm. I listened to a post-game presser where they won a game to go to the College World Series in 2024, and he was taking accountability. He was, even though they won a game, he was like, I could have done better as a manager. I could have done this. I could have done that. He's, backing his guys, defending his players, calling out the media. I mean, this guy, you will run through a brick wall for this guy if you play for him. I totally understand that. But just because he's fiery and has more passion than Bob Melvin did in post-game presser doesn't mean he's going to win games. I wonder how he's going to react to a clubhouse where he has to tell Rafael Devers, you're going in this spot with the lineup. I also wonder, I brought it up last time, is Buster Posey letting him really manage the team? Is he going to pick his own coaching staff? I think it would be beneficial if he had experienced coaches with him at the major league level as a part of his coaching staff. But is he going to assemble that? Is Bob Melvin going to make the lineup for him every day, kind of like the way Farhan was with Gabe Kapler or Bob Melvin, or the dynamic between Andrew Friedman and Dave Roberts? So it's very intriguing, but it's crazy. It is batshit crazy.
Yeah, there's a couple of, and you mentioned that you said run through a brick wall. So that is kind of the perfect segue into, I believe it's this one. It was part of Andrew Baggerly's article that he posted. I'm going to take the comments off just so we can read it here. But Max Scherzer, speaking to Ken Rosenthal, Max Scherzer played with Missouri while Vitello was the assistant coach there. And asked about him being a major league managerial candidate, said the concept wasn't crazy. Quote, it's the competitiveness, it's the fire, it's the intensity, and it's the communication skills. He makes it so relatable. He's such a player's guy. He makes you want to run through a brick wall for him. He was perfect for me when I was in college. He helped even to foster my mentality and add to it, really helped bring it out of me. Mizzou was my ground zero where I really took off, and his fingerprints are all over that. So I absolutely believe in him. He's, to this day, one of my closest friends, and I absolutely believe he's going to get it done at the big league level. He's going to get players to buy in. I know there's going to be this narrative that he doesn't have any pro ball experience, but his ability to relate to players and his fire and his passion for the game is going to resonate with everybody within that clubhouse. So I don't see that as an issue. Now, granted, we got to take that with a grain of salt because he said he's a close friend and he's not going to say anything to disparage his close friend. But another thing that was interesting from The Athletic, this was a separate article, and it said the Tony Vitello hire is a risk, but it's an entertaining one, that's for sure. And it's a guy who wrote about Tennessee baseball, saying Vols baseball was like Happy Gilmore, luring chess painters to pro golf events and offending traditionalists. Vitello might be a bit excessive for the Carolina League too, and now he's in the show. Tony Vitello, Tony the Tiger and Dick Vitale would have been just as believable before Posey made this a serious pursuit. But it's serious, it's real, and compelling. Posey got his guy, a devastating loss for Tennessee, and a major win for people who like fun with their sports. It could be a win for the Giants. It's absolutely unconventional and a risk. It's also going to make that franchise and its press availabilities much more interesting to the world at large.
All right.
And the thing that I kind of loved about Melvin at first, and then it kind of annoyed me towards the end. because coming off Gabe Kapler, I think I said it on the podcast. I like how he just didn't dance around his answers when he made like a bullpen decision. He said this was the plan and we stuck to the plan, but that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Bob Melvin really adjusted all that well in the middle of a game. I think they went into the game with a plan, but as the game went on, I don't know if he made snap decisions in real time in the best way. And I don't think he really tried to learn from his mistakes. Like you mentioned that Tony Vitello thing where he's like, if I put all my mistakes in a basket from this weekend, I could probably come out of it with way more wrong decisions than right ones. And so I don't know how much Bob Melvin was willing to evolve as a manager because he's had so much experience. He's had such a long history in this game where he has so much conviction, where I think Vitello is going to be a little more willing to learn. And I think that's something I don't know. I wonder if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing moving forward. Again, that's another thing that excites me, but there's one more aspect to the Giants next season that's even more than the coach. But if you want to respond, I've just been rambling.
No, I mean, what is it, Steven?
Well, it's just you need your big money players to perform.
Of course. Of course you do.
Like you need Willie Adames to be way more consistent. You need Rafael Devers to get started the way that he ended the season. You need Jung-Hoo Lee to not go for a 4-month slump. You need Elliot Ramos to stop making boneheaded decisions on the base paths. But it's quite obvious what they're getting in Vitello with what Drew Gilbert is. I think the same way Max Scherzer said a large part of my personality is attributed to Vitello and the way he coached me. I think we could say the same about Drew Gilbert because he was with Tennessee, obviously.
Yeah, I'll finish with this. Then we can move on to a little basketball, and then we'll get to football. There is a new mentality when it comes to coaching Gen Z players where you don't really want to build them down. You want to build them up. You don't want to criticize. You want to just help them grow as people. And I think that you could say that they're softer, but it's just a new style of coaching. It's the Ted Lasso way of approaching to younger players. And I feel like in the NFL, you're seeing that a little bit more. Like there's some exceptions. Mike Vrabel's back in the league, but there was that one season where he wasn't getting a job. Bill Belichick's not getting a job in the NFL again. Because I think NFL owners want to go with guys that will just, follow what they want to do, kind of go with what the GM has as the direction of the team, but not really authoritative guys, not hard asses, just guys that will lead and, you hate this term, Steven, but I think it applies to this.
Oh, God.
Vitello was a leader of kids for the most part. Now he has to be a leader of men. He does. He does. He has to be a leader of men. And I wonder how that's going to transition, but
sure.
Build them up with positivity more than just breaking them down with critiques. And I'll say this too. I know some people in the chat are like, next year's going to be better than this season. I'm not so sure about that. I think that this is a move for the long haul. And if I could see it now already, like you guys hated Gabe Kapler. I'm not saying this guy's Kapler, but he's not going to do the traditional way of playing baseball, in my opinion. I think that people, when it comes to baseball, people just love what worked in the past, why the Giants won 3 World Series, the way that Bochy did it, the way that Dusty Baker did it. If you guys hate the manager, you want Will Clark to be the manager. If this doesn't pan out in the first season, and we're talking about this team losing games to the Dodgers in June and July, then you have to let it ride. You can't fire this guy after one season. I know some people, I can see it already next year at KMBR when the phones are, lit up and everybody hates this guy. You have to let it ride. This is a brand new thing for him. So if he has a shitty season, you can't say fire him because that's the way it was with Bob Melvin. You have to let this work for a while. That's the way I see it. If you're going to fire him after one season with this massive experiment, that it's not fair at all.
Right. But if the team doesn't look like it's moving in any direction, say like the Raiders right now, then I think that would be understandable. But if there's little things that you could pick out beyond just what's in the win column next year and beyond what's going on, say, with everyone else in the National League West, because everyone wants to pay attention to the Dodgers, like I think you'll be able to find that in really, I think it's going to be a lot about culture. Like, just judging from that Greg Olson thing, he cited the teams from the Chicago Cubs that won the World Series, or I think the Philadelphia Phillies was another one with John Kruk and Lenny Dykstra, that it was all about the personalities and players being comfortable in their own skin. And whether it's at the youth, collegiate, or professional level, because there's just so much downtime in baseball, he said, like, letting them be themselves is ultimately what makes them as strong as they could possibly be. And I wondered, like, if Bob Melvin really let players be themselves. Like, Drew Gilbert was out of nowhere, but I just think, like, a lot of guys just seemed, I don't know, kind of bored. just whenever they'd be losing in these games in the middle of the summer, and Melvin's just kind of standing up there. I'm not saying it's totally the manager's job to motivate the players, but I think Vitello's going to bring a little bit in there.
Yeah, I hear you on that one, but when you lose, it's boring. I think that's overblown. I think that people just wanted to make Bob Melvin the scapegoat last year, and he did not manage well. But was Bochy that fiery? Not really.
Yeah, different teams though. Giants had a real. You cannot underrate that. You cannot underrate those rosters that they had in those early parts. Those were really good teams.
Yeah, but are you saying that Bruce Bochy was the guy that was going to be fiery after a game in the post game?
No, not at all.
So just because this guy is going to,
but Hunter Pence did it for them.
Okay,
they had that guy.
Willie Adames was supposed to be that guy.
Yeah, and he tried. But also, Willie Adames wasn't performing, though.
He wasn't, but I don't think that's Bob Melvin's fault. All I'm saying is it's different in football to be this fiery coach every week because there's 17 games. Mm-hmm. I can see if this guy's screaming and yelling after every loss, it's going to get old fast. Just that's the way I see it.
Skeptic.
I'm entitled to be skeptical, okay?
It's fine.
Not everything that Buster Posey does is fantastic. Let's see what happens with this.
Oh, God. People are excited about a move. Let me shit on it.
You guys are excited about everything. Everything that Buster Posey does. Oh, my God. It's the best thing ever. The Niners win one game against the Atlanta Falcons. They're going to the Super Bowl. Calm the fuck down, everybody. Whoa. Jesus.
Oh, God. I hope the Blue Jays beat the Dodgers.
Well, so do I. All right. Let's talk a little football then. And before we get to we'll talk Warriors later. But let's start with the Raiders, and we'll go to the Niners later on as well. But, man, God. And by the way, Steven, you lost a pick, so you have to do some hot sauce.
Fantastic. Jesse, by the way, I figured just as her husband, walking back, she's like, "Oh, you lost in picks again, huh?" I thought she was going to say, "Oh, I'm sorry. You'll get through it." Instead, she just said, "Loser." And that's the last thing. She said, and I was like, "Wow, that's not very nice." She said, "Well, be better."
That's good motivation.
Mm-hmm. I guess
all right, so
God damn it.
I'll start it off with the Raiders, and I'll let you do your thing. 31-0. Just to go through some of these stats. 3 first downs. 30 total plays for the Raiders. 95 total yards. Geno Smith, 76 yards passing. Like, this is insane. This is like we're going to 2006 Raider levels.
Yeah.
It's abysmal offensively right now. And I never thought it would be this bad. Like a year ago, I thought it was bad offensively. Somehow it's gotten worse. And I do wonder if Geno Smith was ever really that good of a quarterback. I think that he was surrounded by talent in Seattle, and right now you're seeing with a bad offensive line and not a true wide receiver. Trey Tucker's a big play wide receiver, but he should not be your true number one. You're seeing that this team just can't get anything going offensively. Yeah. And, I had some people this week ask me, is this the worst of the worst that you've seen with the Raiders? I'm like, no, dude. I saw the 2006 season. I saw where the Raiders lost a game with David Carr having negative passing yards. I saw the Raiders lose 52-0 to the lowly St. Louis Rams. Not the greatest show on turf. I'm talking about Case Keenum, those Rams, or whoever the quarterback was.
Dude, it was Sean Hill.
Was it Sean Hill? Either way.
It was Sean Hill.
Either way. I've seen terrible Raider football. That was just another bad Raider performance in my lifetime watching them. And I'm not even mad they lost the game because I expect you to lose to the Chiefs. I picked the Chiefs in my survivor pool on all three of them. So I expected the Raiders to lose. But just to have a lifeless effort, like it's the same thing against the Colts. The Colts are a very good team, but you lost 40-6. You lost 31-0. Like it just shows some enthusiasm, shows some life. And I do wonder about Pete. Did you already eat your fucking hot sauce?
Yeah, dude.
What the hell? You're supposed to wait.
Sorry, I didn't think about it.
God damn it. I was going on this whole rant.
You're doing well.
Yeah, but now you don't have to say anything. All right, fine. I'll keep going here. This really is a punishment for you. I guess it is in some way. All right, fine. I do wonder about Pete. I do wonder, like, when he was fired from the Seahawks, along with Belichick that offseason, I said to you, I think it's more likely that Bill Belichick gets a job again. I don't think Pete's going to coach the NFL. And with the Raiders losing out on Ben Johnson, I wonder if Pete seems good on paper because of what he's accomplished in the past with USC and Seattle. But is Pete just, I hate saying this because I don't want to be mean, but is he too old to coach now? Like what I just talked about, in a new day and age of professional sports where you see younger coaches, Tony Vitello, who's 47 years old, relating to the clubhouse. Is Pete just out of touch with how the game is played these days? Like, you're seeing the makeup of the roster. And I think John Spytek is a good talent evaluator. Every time I hear him in interviews, I expect this guy to be good. But the defense is pretty much a makeup of washed up veterans, guys like Jamal Adams, Devin White. I'm trying to think of who else is on the roster. They signed Jermaine Pratt, and he landed with the Colts. Landon Roberts. And then there's a bunch of rookies that are not panning out. And, you could say, oh, they're rookies, they need time. Robert Saleh's getting the most out of the 49ers rookies right now. And maybe they just drafted better than the Raiders did. But I don't know, dude. I think that from prioritizing Ashton Genty as a playmaker over the offensive line, I thought was a bad move. It's just the same old thing. You're not seeing any progress. You're not seeing this team grow. And I thought that you would see the same growth that you're seeing right now with the Patriots, with what Mike Vrabel is doing and what Liam Cohen's doing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It just looks like the same old thing. Looks like it's getting worse. I can't say do a rebuild because I've seen that too many times. Nothing ever happens. I can't say trade Max Crosby because I don't think that's beneficial. I know that Trey Wingo had a report yesterday saying that the Dallas Cowboys have inquired about him. I think some people have debunked that rumor out there. I don't think firing Chip Kelly is going to solve anything because you did that the last two seasons where you fired Josh McDaniels and you fired Luke Getsy. The offense didn't improve midseason. I just don't know what the fuck to do anymore because the Raiders seem cursed to me.
Yeah. Yep. God, you said it all, really. I don't think I'm glad we're doing this on Wednesday. I don't think I've been as depressed, like football depressed, as I was like these last couple of days. Like going into work on Monday, I was just,
really?
Yeah. It's because of the expectation. We mentioned the 2006 season, and going into that, it's like, okay, you get rid of Norv Turner, and then Al Davis ends up making an Art Shell hire just to kind of make up for what he called a mistake when he fired him as the LA Raiders head coach back in, what was it, 94 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that just felt like it was a move that he was just trying to make up for. So I don't think the expectations were high. The expectations here were they were going to win games. The expectations were that they would at least be competitive with the Chiefs. I'm tired of the people wanting to go back to these different coaches. Stop longing for John Gruden. Stop longing for Antonio Pierce or Josh McDaniels. If there's anyone you could long for, it's probably Jack Del Rio, because that might be the best Raiders head coach that they've had in the last decade. Like, that's fine. But I'm tired of going back to that. Like, can we just focus on this team instead of longing for something that really wasn't great in the first place? I felt terrible during the Antonio Pierce era, and he didn't know what he was doing. Like, why do you think that Antonio Pierce is doing stuff for CBS Sports right now and he's not coaching in the NFL? Because no one saw a coach who probably deserve to be in that role, you know, making high school players run a ton of wind sprints at an alarming rate. Maybe should be, you know, maybe that's where he should go back to. I don't know. And God, Antonio Pierce would kick my ass. But point being,
that's anytime you criticize somebody who's plays in the NFL or is like bigger than you, it's like, man, that guy sucks, but man, can he kick my ass?
I'm just saying, like, I just want to state the obvious here. You know, I hate people who just are all bark and act like they're also some bite as well. I'm not going to act like I'm bark and bite. I'm all bark at this current juncture. But anyway, with them, the 3 first downs was the number that stuck out to me. 3 first downs. I think that was like the 3rd time since 2000 that an NFL team has done that. The first time since like 2005 for the Raiders or something like that. I could be wrong.
So they've done it before. Fantastic.
They've done it before. Yeah, it's happened before. I tried going back and looking myself, but by the time I got to 2015, I'm like, all right, I've had it. This is just depressing.
Well, I mean, you look through like Jamarcus Russell's time as Raiders quarterback, the offense was putrid. I'm sure. I remember a game against the Atlanta Falcons. They had negative yardage going into halftime as an offense. Right. So we've seen this before, but it's like
we just saw the Jets go negative 10 passing yards. Like, you know what I mean? We've even seen a worse performance this season, but I just think with the expectations that were set, and the thing with Pete Carroll that's bothering me is, well, I didn't expect this. Like, he's treating it like my fantasy team. Like, well, I put together this roster. It's a winning roster. God, I didn't expect to get 85 points this week. I thought we'd be better at this point. I didn't think we'd be here. And it's like, okay, so you didn't know that. So what's going on? Dude. And the Ashton Genty thing, like, I don't want to say that they should regret making the pick, because who knows? Maybe, I don't know, maybe next season you find a quarterback in what should be a quarterback-heavy first round, and maybe there's some sort of... I don't know. I don't think it is. Maybe we said that last year, but look at Jackson Dart, for example, and look what he's done for that Giants organization.
Yeah, but that's one guy, and Cam Ward's the other guy. Like, that's it.
Sure. But I'm just saying, like, if you find that guy, it's a reach. I'm not saying they're going to him. I'm not going to say that the answer's there in the next year's draft. But if that happens, then fine. But even right now, I'm thinking, well, why'd you draft Genty then? Like, if you said you were going to build this around the run and you're giving him 6 carries for 21 yards against the Chiefs when your quarterback can't do anything, it's almost like organizational malpractice. Been saying that a lot lately. Like, how do you not build around Max Crosby on your defense when you're about to give him a huge contract, and instead you're trying to build the offense around Geno Smith? Like, that's what it felt like it was with Genty. It didn't feel like they were trying to build up the run game and maybe build their team around Genty. It felt like they were trying to build their team around Geno Smith, who looks like maybe the 2nd worst quarterback in the NFL right now next to Justin Fields.
Well, I would say that they tried. I mean, they drafted Trey Wilson to be opposite Max Crosby as a pass rusher. So they've been trying to do that. They tried with, signing Christian Wilkins, but that didn't pan out, obviously.
But those weren't their guys, though, right?
No, I know. But I'm just saying, like, I think that they went into the season with the mentality that, okay, we have players that could play opposite Max Crosby, and we have his defensive coordinator that knows his strengths, and maybe it's Patrick Graham's time to go. I don't know if he's a good fit with Pete Carroll. You figure that the defense would play better with Pete Carroll as the head coach, but I don't know how much he delegates to the rest of the coaching staff. When I hear you say, or when you brought up Pete Carroll in the post-game press conference saying, I wasn't expecting that. That's what I'm talking about with Pete. Like, you're not expecting that? The Chiefs are one of the best teams in all of football. They've dominated the AFC for the last 5-6 years. You weren't expecting that? That just makes Pete sound, I'm sorry, a little old and a little like, I don't know what I'm doing. Or like, and that's so disrespectful, because Pete's accomplished so much in the NFL. He's going to the Hall of Fame with what he did with the Legion of Boom and the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
But when I hear him in these press conferences, I'm like, God, this isn't the Pete that was fiery. He just seems defeated, and you should be with a 2-5 record.
Yeah.
So what's also just so disrespectful is the fact that Andy Reid is just running circles around the Raiders. Like, he always tries his tricks against them. Like, remember a couple of years ago, they did the ring around the Rosie. huddle. And then they try this thing on 4th and 1 where Patrick Mahomes screams, "This never fucking works." And then they run it anyway just to catch the Raiders off guard.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it's 2:30 left in the game in the fourth quarter, and the Raiders have all 3 of their timeouts, and the Chiefs are just kneeling out of respect for Pete Carroll. And you could say that's respect. I just find that so disrespectful. It's like, you're not even going to try. You thoroughly kicked this team's ass. I haven't seen anything like that since Sean Payton, his first year with the Saints, was running up the score on the Cowboys. Then he just knelt. So
is that as disrespectful as putting Gardner Minshew in at the start of the fourth quarter?
Well, that too.
And they Paul Crewed him, dude. They longest yarded it. Adam Sandler looking at Burt Reynolds saying, "I think you're too dizzy from that hit," and walking to the sideline and then going out for a pass. I think we've seen Baker Mayfield do that, but it's similar in that they were trying to fool the defense on 4th down, and it worked. The thing that also gets me too is the way that they have handled Jackson Powers Johnson all season. Like they said that he was in some competition with Alex Kappa at guard because Jordan Whiteside is just better at the center position. Okay, but then they put in Alex Kappa instead of JPJ. And then they take him out of this game just because he's struggling a little bit when everyone along that offensive line is getting killed. What do you think the backup is going to be? You think the backup is going to be getting any better get the better of Chris Jones in that situation? Like, come on, dude. I do not like that at all. And that's not how you ingratiate yourself with any Raider fans, because JPJ has turned into, last year specifically, made himself a fan favorite just with his high motor, the way that he was able to finish plays. Does he always make the right one? No. Sometimes it's kind of boom or bust with him. But the fact that Pete Carroll has made him out to kind of be this player who's, I guess, a scapegoat in a sense.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, not to mention Kenny Pickett getting in the first snap and he fumbles it. Like, Jesus Christ.
This is any conversation about going to Kenny Pickett to bed, huh?
Well, it's just one play, but I want to go to Kenny Pickett. Like, you made this move. Like, I hear what you're saying. Like, they didn't build the defense around Max Crosby, but I'm sure Tom Brady and everybody involved was like, we're not going to have a chance if we don't have a quarterback.
Sure.
So let's get ourselves a quarterback. And you thought Geno Smith was that guy, but it's the same thing with getting Jimmy Garoppolo or getting Gardner Minshew or getting a veteran quarterback that look good with another team with more talent around them, and you find out they're not that good when they don't have that much talent.
Yeah.
So I think Alon says it pretty well here. Andy Reid putting in Gardner Minshew and kneeling was the equivalent of a baseball team not running the bases on you anymore because they are winning by so much. It's worse than getting run up on. I would agree. It's a level of like respect while simultaneously being disrespectful. And if I was Pete Carroll, I would be pissed off because it's Andy Reid having respect for you, but at the same time just being like, you think I'm too old for this game now, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. I hope that pisses him off. I hope that pisses off the whole team. But at this point, I thought that this was the point in the schedule where they would get some wins, and it gets much harder from here on out. So I don't know how they're going to finish the rest of the way.
Yeah, and you mentioned at the start of your little rant was good God, I put a little aggression into that.
Your nice little rant there
at the start of your diatribe, the defense.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned it last week or the week after they. I already forgot who they even lost to before that game against the Titans, but
Colts.
Like, yes. What's the plan with the defense here? Okay, you sign Max Crosby, great, but it looks like Tyree Wilson could be on the chopping block here, and you might be trading him at the deadline for any team that needs pass rush help because it hasn't worked out so far. We mentioned it in Bill Barnwell's article, like a straight up trade with the Bears. That might not be plausible, but Tyree Wilson looks like he could be on his way. And the rest, he just got a bunch of one-year deals with some older veterans. And this guy, this Caillou Blue Kelly, listen, defensive back is probably the hardest, one of the second to quarterback. It's probably the hardest position in the NFL. It's tough keeping up with some elite wide receivers. But the Caillou Blue Kelly experiment has just been god-awful. It hasn't worked. And you drafted this rookie Darian Porter, you're putting Caillou Blue Kelly in his place. I don't see what the draw is of this guy. And it was a Pete Carroll guy. Pete Carroll loved this Caillou Blue Kelly. I don't even He was on the team last year. Hadn't really heard of him. And, it's not to say, like, I don't know if you've seen what's happening with the Packers right now, but Nate Hobbs is apparently like the only guy that's underperforming on that defense. He's kind of been he's same way JPJ is made out to be a scapegoat right now. Apparently Nate Hobbs is just not fitting in with the Packers defense.
You wouldn't say that, but we'll get to that later. But go ahead.
I mean, there was just a
no. I know
an article that I read in the Athletic, but point being, it's just I don't know their plan. So what, you're going to go long term with Devin White and Landon Roberts? The only guy I like on defense really is Jeremy Chin. Jeremy Chin goes out and hits people. He's all over the field and plays hard. And Isaiah Polomau, he's good, but there's other times where you kind of see number 20 turning his back after what feels like a blown coverage. There's just no communication there. But I just don't know what the future is. Eric Stokes?
I don't know what the future is for anything on the team right now. Just because I felt like they built this team to win right now. Like, people are saying, like, another rebuild. It wasn't a rebuild. They were trying to win this season. They were trying to build something. And, like I said, they got a lot of veterans on the defensive side of the football, but it's clear that you probably need to get more rookies. But then again, the rookies that you drafted seem so out of place. I don't know. I'll just ask you this. Trey Wingo had this report out there, and Clarence Hill, who's well-respected, covering the Dallas Cowboys, said there's no validity to it whatsoever. The Dallas Cowboys have not inquired about Max Crosby, but at this point, would you trade Max Crosby?
Depends what you could get for him.
Well, obviously, 2 first-round picks is the starter.
I'd be interested in that, but not for the team's sake, for Max Crosby's sake, to get him out of Vegas. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, you're not sorry, but you're not thinking that way as a GM. But I hear you.
Sure, I'm not a GM. I am a Max Crosby fan, and I want him to succeed. And this guy seemed like he had one foot out the door last year before he ended up getting hurt. Like, I think they should, but for his sake, not for necessarily the Raiders' sake.
Okay, that's a valid reason, but I don't think John Spivak's going to grow a heart and just be like, well, it's time to let Max Crosby be free.
No. Ultimately, do I think it's going to happen? No,
neither do I. I think the time to do it was with a desperate team like a year ago when the Lions lost Aiden Hutchinson. If I was, who was it at the time? Tom Telesco, I would have called Brad Holmes and been like, 3 first-round picks right now. And of course, I'm sure they had those conversations. I'm sure the Niners have inquired about Max Crosby, but it makes no sense. It doesn't right now. Just for the Raiders, that's an easy fix. I get it. You could get a bounty of first-round picks, but just resetting all the time, it amounts to nothing with the Raiders. Have we learned anything with Khalil Mack? They traded him away, and you got Josh Jacobs, and you got Cleveland Farrell, and who else was in that draft? Regardless, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. Just because you trade away a player and you get first-round picks doesn't mean they're going to be great first-round picks.
Yeah.
So you got to make it work with Max Crosby. You got to find a way, firing people, trading away players. That's too easy. They had this intention of winning this season, as they always do. I'm not saying you need to salvage the season, but you got to give people hope for something for the future. And right now, I could say Ashton Genty, I can say Max Crosby. That's about it. In the words of Austin Powers from back in the day, where he was like, I checked into the 80s. There was a flock of seagulls. That's about it. I probably butchered that line, but it's close to it.
It's not butchering the line so much as the accent, but you tried, so A for effort.
I'm pretty good on Austin Powers. Yeah, baby, yeah.
Oh, God. Look, man, he's making over $30 million a year. Like, I don't think anyone should request a trade if you're making over $30 million a year from a team. Like, you're that unhappy and you're going to request a trade. Like, okay, fine. But I kind of feel like you're out of touch with reality at that point. Shoot, if I was an athlete, yeah, I'd love to win. But if you're paying me $40 million a year, like, all right, fine. I'll sacrifice a little team glory if I'm going to be having generational wealth for the rest of my life. But that's also just me. And another thing, I don't think Mark Davis is going to want to let go of Max Crosby.
No,
he loves Max Crosby. And that's the thing. We've said it on this podcast before. The common denominator in this whole thing, I think Rick Tittle had the tweet about it. We've been saying it for the last three or 4 years since we've really been doing this podcast. it's Mark Davis. And I'm seeing this little notion out there from the Raider podcasters now. It's that it's not his fault. It's not Mark Davis's fault. He just does the hiring. He just hires and hopes. I'm like, yeah, but there's got to be something up with this where Mark Davis has his hand in it, where I don't know why, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't work out.
Steven, I hear you.
What you see in successful teams is typically a successful owner, one who the teams trust.
Mm-hmm.
Jed York had regained the 49ers fans' trust with his hires, bringing in an up-and-coming coach who seemed like it was going to be a slam dunk, along with John Lynch, who's a general manager who can really resonate with players. You see it with, I don't know, I can't even think of any others right now.
I hear you. There's nothing more I would love to do than blame Mark Davis for this, but I can't, because I don't want to say it's not his fault, but I don't know what he's doing in particular to be like, that's why they're losing. He may have hired the wrong guys, but to me, Josh McDaniels seemed like the right move at the time, but it did not pan out, and he seemed to be an egomaniac, and now he's got his right position as being the Patriots offensive coordinator. Antonio Pierce felt like he was kind of pressured into that by the players and the fans, but I'm sure he didn't even buy into that. Pete Carroll, to me, is very close to like the Giants hiring Bob Melvin, where you just want to establish a culture. You want an adult in the room. And it turns out that it's the same result. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't say with certainty that Pete Carroll was the right hire, but it seemed like the right hire at the time.
Yeah. And there's something there. I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to say that Mark Davis ain't to blame either.
Well, of course, you can always blame the owner when the team's shitty, but
yeah,
I think it's much more than that.
Year after year after year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even these hires either. Like,
that was depressing the way we ended.
John Gruden and Mike Mayock. Like, even that didn't work.
Yeah. Didn't have time to work. It was going in the right direction that season, 2021.
I guess.
They were winning. They were 3-0. They lost 2 in a row, and then the emails came out. I don't think, I've said this before, I think Mike Mayock was put in a bad spot with John. I thought that in a way that I don't know what the dynamic's going to be with Buster Posey and Tony Vitello. I think that John told Mike, you're going to be my GM, but I'm telling you what we're doing all the time. And Mike would tell him, I wouldn't draft that guy. I wouldn't draft this guy. It sounds like their relationship is strained since this whole thing. I think that Mike Mayock didn't realize when he signed up for the job that John was going to kind of make him out to be a fool. Like he was going to get the blame for a lot of these players when really it was John be like, I like this Cleveland Farrell guy. Let's take him 4th overall. And I'm sure Mayock's like, that's way too high for him. Same thing with Alex Leatherwood. I think that Mike Mayock gets a lot of blame for shit that he really didn't do.
I'm not saying that's to blame on Mike Mayock. I'm saying just pairing him and Gruden together was Mark Davis's fault.
Yeah, but we all wanted Gruden back. And I was longing for that nostalgia. And maybe that was the wrong move. Maybe they should have never done that in the first place. But I thought it was trending in the right direction. It took Gruden some time. He had to rebuild the roster again, which I thought was completely unnecessary. But I don't know. If those emails never come out, I think John Gruden's the head coach today.
Yeah. Just feels like we're going to have to wait another 5 years till this Raiders team's actually competitive. Honestly.
Yes, I guess, but it shouldn't be that way. They should be competitive now, and I don't know why they're not. And maybe it's because they just picked the wrong players.
It's just football, man. Football.
It is. Let's move on to the 49ers. They beat the Atlanta Falcons 20-10. Your thoughts on this game, Steven, since you thought the Falcons were going to win?
I mean, they did a much better job against the run than I expected them to. But Michael Penix just was flummoxed. You know, whenever I don't think he completed a pass when he was under pressure all game. And sure, he can drop those dimes whenever there's an outbreaking route. But it just felt like at the end of the day, the 49ers just wanted it more. I can't explain why. But as far as the 49ers side, Christian McCaffrey was just awesome. Again, I don't think like everyone keeps saying like this could be the game where he's going to explode for a big gain. I don't think so. I really do think that he's a little bit slower than he used to be, but that's not to say that he's not as effective of a running back. He still has the vision. He's still able to understand which blockers to follow. And I think George Kittle ultimately upped it. Like you saw, there was one, I think it was like the 15-yard run that he had on the first drive where Kittle is motioning across the line of scrimmage. It's one of those outside zone runs. And you saw it was I believe it was 22 personnel, technically, with Kyle Juszczyk out there. And the backup, Luke Farrell, who supposedly had a 17 run blocking grade on PFF the week before, he made a perfect block. It was a perfect trap play to get Christian McCaffrey open in space. And I just thought they were totally in sync in the run game. I thought Mac Jones was fine. But really, I thought the story was just the defense. Just Tatum Bethune. I'm not going to say that it was just a seamless transition with him, but he played admirably. And I think playing for Fred had a lot to do with it. Fred being at the game and everything, I think added to the motivation. Chase Lucas making plays, the backup stepping up. It was a real character win. And I think what people have gotten wrong about Kyle Shanahan, where they always talk about how he's this play calling mastermind. There was that huge thing, Derek. Do you remember this in just after 2019, really, where he's a great play designer. I don't know if he's a good head coach. He is. He's a very, very good head coach.
He is.
And what Joe Thomas, I think, said on some podcast a little while back, it actually might have been on with Willard and Dibbs, but Joe Thomas singing the praises of Shanahan, saying that he really knows how to get to his players. Like he knows how to instill this confidence in them that they're going to win. And him saying after the game that he wanted them to run the football 40 times. He dared them to do that. God, I mean, it must have got those players just so fired up to go out there on Sunday night. And yeah, I thought the Falcons were going to keep rolling. I thought they were going to build on this run game that they had with Bijan Robinson, and thought the 49ers kind of neutralized him and weren't able to do much, and they couldn't really control the tempo. All they could really do was hope they could get a big play out of Penix, which they didn't. So yeah, man, just a great win, really, from the Niners. I didn't expect it.
It was a great win. I'm not surprised. I think that
you called it.
With the way that the Atlanta Falcons are set up offensively, they were great against the Commanders. They were great against the Buffalo Bills. But I thought that with Kyle knowing Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh knowing Jeff Ulbrich and Raheem Morris, that they would find the weaknesses in this offense and the defense. As far as the offense, it's all predicated on Bijan Robinson. And I go back and forth with Bijan, so bear with me. But if you limit him to just 92 yards of offense, then you're in good shape. Michael Penix is a talented quarterback, but he does not see the field right now. Mm-mm. And it's either I'm handing it off to Bijan, or I'm throwing to Drake London, or I'm throwing to Kyle Pitts. But if those guys are taken away, then I'm heaving it deep every play. So they knew that. The Niners had a great defensive game plan with applying pressure. And Tatum Bethune did a fantastic job filling in for Fred Warner. But to me, the other rock star of the game on defense was Chase Lucas, where he was brought on blitzes. He made that great pass deflection on fourth down. Even though there's not a lot of great pass rushers on the team right now, they won't have it for the next 2 weeks with Bryce Huff being injured. Just Robert Saleh finds a way, man. He is the fact that they have him at defensive coordinator. He's the assistant coach of the year, in my opinion. If they had Nick Sorensen or anybody else that was inexperienced with all these injuries and the inexperience of the rookies that are playing right now, then they'd be lost offensively. But they're winning games with their defense despite everything that's been thrown at them. As far as the offense, Kyle Shanahan goes into every game hoping that they could have a balanced attack. But, I asked him the first couple weeks of the season, like, was it your intention to throw 40 times to Mac Jones? He goes, no, like, I don't want to do that. But if the game plan calls for it, that's what we're going to do. And the game plan called for them to run 40 times. He wants to run the ball. That's how Kyle Shanahan, established himself in the NFL. Is he runs the football. He has one of the best running attacks in all of football. He can find a way to, have it be a lethal passing offense, but it plays off of the running game. Is that hot sauce hitting you now?
Yeah, it got back.
That's weird.
It showed up out of nowhere.
10 minutes later.
Yeah.
But the fact that George Kittle was back, blocking helped. The offensive line just blocked better. And not to mention, they were just playing a not great rush defense in the Atlanta Falcons. Now, they have a good pass rush, and you see how complex it is with guys like Caden Ellis, the middle linebacker. They could put him at rush outside linebacker. They could put him at middle linebacker. But when you just attack them in the middle, they are not good against the run. So I don't know if McCaffrey's lost a step. All I know is he's still one of the best running backs on the football.
Yep.
He can get it done on the ground. He can get it done on the air. And I think when it's all said and done, I respect the hell out of a guy. Like, my favorite types of running backs are the guys that do it all. The Marshall Falks, the LaDainian Tomlinsons, the Thurman Thomases, the Alvin Kamaras. I think Christian McCaffrey, I'm not going to say that he's better than those guys, but he has the potential to be. Like, he might be the best wide receiver that plays running back. And it's as long as he's out there, they have a chance. The key to stopping the Niners offense is taking him away. So if you stop him with the running game, you have a chance. Can you stop him one-on-one man coverage with a linebacker with him being a wide receiver? I don't think so. So it was like a couple years ago when we were talking about the Eagles game. I was breaking it down. I was like, the key to this game is the Eagles don't have linebackers that can cover this guy in the passing game. I'm trying to find linebackers in the NFL that could cover Christian McCaffrey. The only one that probably could do it is Fred Warner, ironically. So, yeah, I mean, it was just a great game plan. It shows why the Niners are successful at 5-2 because of their coaching. It's because of Kyle Shanahan. It's because of Robert Saleh. It's because of Christian McCaffrey. And Mac Jones had a fantastic game. He didn't need to throw for 400 yards. It was a great game manager game, and I feel like that's a negative thing to say about quarterbacks, but it was the perfect game plan for him.
It's not a negative thing. I really don't see that as a negative thing at all.
I don't
either. If you're winning games, you're considered a game manager and you're putting W's up. Who cares? And you have game winning plays like that 3rd and 13. Like,
yes, that was the play of the game.
That was it. Like that, where he looked off the linebacker, had a wide open McCaffrey. Like, that was it, man. Mac Jones just played. He was just solid, with exception to that one interception, but that wasn't even his fault.
Right. Yeah. Like, if Juwan Jennings is going to complain about not getting the ball enough, he's got to come up with that ball. But regardless, he had a fine game. Yeah, I think that the Niners had a great game plan, and Michael Penix just shows that it was kind of reminiscent to me of the Arizona Cardinals game where it felt like the Niners just pulled a win out of their ass. But this game was it was exciting while simultaneously just kind of being like, this game is only 13-10 and we're in the 4th quarter already, where they gave the Falcons chances. They just knew that they weren't going to make the most of the opportunity. Michael Penix, right before halftime, gets the intentional grounding, the 10-second runoff. There's a 3rd and manageable that turns it to a 3rd and long because there's a delay of game. Michael Penix can't complete the 4th and 1 that's broken up by Chase Lucas. He's just not a very good quarterback right now, and I wonder why they felt the need to rush going to him over Kirk Cousins, and I wonder with his injury this week if they're going to go back to Kirk Cousins. Probably not, but yeah, I'll say this. It was a very impressive win with the 49ers. Do I think differently of this team? No, I don't. I still think they're going to have struggles on defense, even though Robert Saleh had a great game plan for this game. I wonder when they play the likes of the Rams, the Seahawks again, and this schedule is favorable for them, but I do wonder how long the defense can hold up the way it's going right now with the lack of pass rush. And just because they ran the ball effectively against the Falcons doesn't mean that's going to be the case every week. So, Connor Colby and everybody pulling Christian McCaffrey into the end zone, that's a great play. Probably should have been penalized, but whatever. I've seen that play so many times. I don't care that Terry McLaurin, or what's his name on the NBC broadcast?
Oh, God. McCauley?
He said that should have been a flag. Whatever. I've seen so many teams do that. But, they are going to play pretty good defenses the next 2 weeks. In the Texans, I know the Texans' offense is putrid, but defensively, they're pretty good. And the Giants' pass rush is pretty good in itself. So just because the 49ers won this game doesn't change my opinion. I still think it's going to. I think they're going to always be in games. They're going to be competitive as long as they have Kyle Shanahan, as long as they have Robert Saleh, as long as they have Christian McCaffrey. They're going to be good. But I do wonder about them being one of the best teams in the NFC. I think the Lions are better. I think the Buccaneers are better, obviously, with beating them 2 weeks ago. I think the Eagles are better right now. I wonder, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the 49ers right now, but I do wonder if they play the Rams again, if they play the Seahawks again, how it would turn out. So they got this win. It was impressive, but for the long haul, I'm still skeptical about them making the postseason.
Bryce Huff getting hurt.
Yeah,
like when he was their strongest lineman easily. Like I don't think they're really going to get any pressure on CJ Stroud at all unless they're bringing blitzes. I'm really curious to see how the Texans try to combat that, and they're going to know it too. I mean, you're saying Lauren saying 49ers just need to stay healthy. Like they already lost their starting center and another edge rusher. Although I don't know if losing Jake Brendel is going to hurt as much as any typical injury. I mean, he's kind of been an Iron Man of sorts, but God, 49er fans hate him. It must be brutal. I hope he's not on social media. I really do. I really don't.
I mean, they pick and choose who they hate. So
yeah.
whatever.
Did you see the reaction to that?
No,
dude. People are ruthless.
Yeah,
ruthless.
We know.
Ruthless, dude. Like I wouldn't, okay, Matt Hennessy probably played a better game than Jake Brendel would have. And sure, he struggled, but I don't think Brendel's done enough to where you're going to post a GIF of you praying to Jesus, praying that Jake Brendel's the one who got injured.
God,
weird stuff, man.
That's why I hate social media, because that's uncalled for.
It's nasty. It's nasty. Just like great, you have a good backup. Like don't prey on the downfall of a guy who's been the starting center who the team just happens to believe in.
Yeah, seriously.
But thing, man, I don't get it. And like I was kind of surprised though. Like the thing that got me too with like Tatum Bethune, I thought the Falcons, I don't really know how their offensive scheme works. Football's way more complicated than, anything. But I was pretty surprised that they didn't try to attack the middle of the field more. Like with Fred Warner in there, like they were just kind of going outside the numbers for the most part. A lot of Penix's passes were, at least a couple of them were inside, but they were mostly short passes. I was surprised they weren't trying to fool the linebackers in coverage a little bit more instead of trying to, I don't know, test the cornerbacks, or at least, the opposing ones, not so much Renardo Green, but like, the Chase Lucases of the world and the Darrell Luders who played admirably, but I'm surprised they didn't try to test those linebackers a little bit more, because that's what they're missing with Fred Warner. And I think you're probably going to see that a little bit more with the, with Houston this week.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think you're going to see, Houston, it'll be just a matter if they can execute that, because their offense is terrible right now. You best believe that Brian Daboll's going to go after the linebackers. Like a better offensive team would have exposed them. I'm not saying that the defense is bad by any means, but that's what the Buccaneers did right after Fred Warner was out. They went over the middle. They attacked right in the middle of the field. And I just think the Falcons, they're not equipped to do that. I'm sure that Zach Robinson probably had the game plan, but Michael Penix was just getting pressured so much that he didn't think to do that, or just kind of, freaked out a little bit and just threw the ball out of bounds, or he was getting sacked. So, yeah, I still think the Niners are a good team. I just wonder if 9-8, 10-7 is enough to make the postseason. Because I don't think they're winning the division. I think that with the way the Rams looked on Sunday morning, throwing 5 touchdown passes from Matthew Stafford and that defense really playing well. The Seahawks kind of got a little lackadaisical in their game against the Texans, but I like those teams' chances better than the 49ers, just given the injuries.
Yeah, for right now. But it's going to be a different look towards the end of the year, right? I mean, this is the second quarter of the season here where it seems like they are, or rather in the middle third of the season, where it feels like they are starting to get some guys back healthy. What do you think is going to happen with Purdy? Do you think they're just putting him on ice for now and maybe he'll return in New York, or maybe there's something further on going with this? It was a curious report on Sunday night when
Melissa Stark?
Yeah, when Melissa Stark kind of just alluded to him not having a timetable to return. Usually in those reports, they would say, well, he has a chance to return next Sunday, but they're not 100% on that.
I think it's because they don't want to ruin his toe even more. I think they really don't know. I think that they're trying to, they feel comfortable with Max. They're not rushing him. But if they had a bad backup quarterback situation, he probably would have been back already because he's been limited in practice. So he can go. It's just a matter, as Melissa said in her report, if the toe goes any way in particular, it could set him back.
Yeah.
So they're being just overly cautious, and they don't feel pressure to play him right now because they're winning games. And when he's 100% good, then they'll play him. But I do wonder, like, we're not hearing anything with Joe Burrow because it's kind of a break glass in case of emergency situation in December with him. Like if they're in playoff contention, then they'll probably push him out there. But maybe they shouldn't because with turf toe, it could just be where like it's probably best you just rest for the rest of the season. And that could be the case with Purdy. I don't know if it's that severe, but I think we just have to have the mentality that it's Mac Jones' show until Purdy's 100%. And with the way things are going right now, they don't have a bye week until week 14. They're probably not going to rush him back anytime soon.
Yeah, and I'm all in on the Eric Branch and Mac Jones interactions during the press conferences. They have just been constantly hilarious each and every week. You weren't moving wonderfully the last game. How are you feeling going into this one? Well, I'll race you. Also, we need the medical society to change the name of turf toe.
Yeah,
turf toe is way too cute. Like I tried thinking of one before this pod, and the best I could come up with was death toe. It's a little strong.
That might be a little strong. How about just hyperextended? Nah, hyperextended just doesn't make it sound either.
Hyperextended ball of the foot.
Yeah, or
blue balls.
Okay, that's sure. Or just like, let's be honest, it's really a foot fracture. It is. Like, just call it a foot fracture. Yeah, so that's not a broken foot, but close enough.
Yeah, turf toe, man. It really is unpredictable. Like I don't think there's nothing nefarious going on with the 49ers. I saw someone talking about that. It's like, oh, Ricky Pearsall with the hamstring. They don't know its severity. Oh, Bryce Huff, now he's dealing with a hamstring too. Brock Purdy's toe. There's something going on. How about we are human beings and we don't know how our body is going to respond to certain things? Like you do not like turf toe. It really can be death toe for some people. It was for Darren McFadden.
Yeah.
Turf toe ruined his career.
Yep. No, you're right about that. And yeah, Ricky Pearsall, I mean, he hasn't played since the Jaguars game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what's going on with that knee, but they might be cautious with him as well.
Can I also there's something that popped up. I forgot if it was like Underdog, that betting site.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was, but it talked about Ricky Pearsall's injury history. And I don't think, in parentheses, shot in chest should count towards his injury history. It happened, but that's not considered an injury. They put that on there? They put that on there in parentheses.
Yeah, he's injury prone because he got robbed in San Francisco and shot in the chest. That's
exactly in a tragic, quite frankly, stupid incident that should have never happened. That was just ridiculous. Like that's not an injury per se. Like, I think they said Ricky Pearsall missed weeks 1 through 4. Parentheses, shot in chest after a tragic incident that happened in San Francisco. That shouldn't count. And AJ,
yeah, you're just trying to piss me off now, AJ, because you know my take where Darren McFadden was more talented than Frank Gore, and he was. Stop this. McFadden was never good to begin with. Stop, AJ Cruz. Just stop.
Are you paying attention?
You're AJ? Not. You're not being funny. It's annoying. Just stop. Just stop.
Ooh.
All right, let's do a little quick hits around Week 7 in the NFL, and let's start with
there's only one game I want to talk about, man.
Which one's that?
That Giants and Broncos game.
You want to start with that?
Holy shit! Or do we end with that?
We can start with that one.
My God,
that was probably the game of the year. So, Giants are dominating. They're leading 19-0 into the fourth quarter. Crazy reception to make it 19-8. And then another tip ball, like another, immaculate reception that goes for the touchdown for the Giants. and they're up 26-8. And the Broncos have this amazing comeback where they score 33 points in the fourth quarter, a horrendous interception thrown by Jackson Dart to Stranat. And yeah, they come back in this game. It is the circumstances of this game are insane. It was, as Chris Long put it on his podcast, like the game was high off an edible.
Yep.
It
was.
They took the lead 30-26, and then the Giants just kind of, just throwing the ball up in the air. Like they converted a 4th and 19, which was impressive, but then like just kind of hoping for a pass interference call, and they got it on Riley Moss that put him at the 1 yard line or the 2 yard line, and then Jackson Dart goes in to score, which kind of went against the Giants in that situation because you missed the PAT. It's only 32-30, but there's plenty of time for Bo Nix to go down the field and win the game. I find it was interesting that the Giants talked a bunch of shit, or sorry, the Broncos did initially with Nick Bonito.
Yeah.
And then, saying like this fan base is unbearable. And then Kayvon Thibodeau was just like, all right, we'll see. And they came out on fire. They played really well. And you're seeing video of Brian Burns be all pissed off when he goes to the locker room saying, why are we dropping 8 guys into coverage? Like, people are mad about the way the defense played down the stretch. I think this game equally shows that the Giants are turning a corner as a good team, possibly, but at the same time, they need to learn how to lose. Or sorry, need to learn how to win. And the Broncos just made the most of it. And Bo Nix, he won in the game, so I have to give credit to that. But I don't know if I'm thoroughly impressed with him. I think it was just Sean Payton, finding ways to score on this defense. But no doubt it was the play of the game of the year. Like, it was just a fucking crazy ass game,
dude. He is trending into becoming that quarterback who has sneaky mobility, sneaky running skills, sneaky while running the football, as we always say with quarterbacks. But I think this is just all part of the lore of Jackson Dart beginning his tenure as Darth Vader, because they were all like, I did not expect him to do this. I did not expect them to go up with 100% win probability going towards the end of the fourth quarter, where Dart is, I thought he was just going to get kind of roasted, really.
Yeah.
I thought the Broncos defense was going to humble them a little bit. Dart and Scadaboo have been kind of the Cinderella story of this season. And I thought the Broncos were going to put a stop to that because they do have a Super Bowl caliber defense. But even though I think they got they got 20 pressures on Jackson Dart in this game, 20, and he still was able to do what he did. But then he threw that back-breaking interception. The field goal kicker missed a couple of extra points, including that last one, which led to the Broncos game winner. But I will say this with the Giants, I thought the Broncos would have had this one in the bag. I know it's the rule, but I'm allowed to hate it. I can't stand spot of the foul. I just can't.
Yeah.
Towards the end of that game, all the Giants wanted to do was just chuck it deep and hope that they could draw a penalty.
It was annoying.
They did. And they were, 1 yard away from the goal line. Like, I hate that goal. What's the point of that rule? Like, I haven't even looked at the oranges of it. I probably should. That'd be a professional thing to do. Cover all my bases here instead of just saying something's dumb without having all the information.
No, but most people do that to begin with. It's not your fault. But
there's a reason there's the rules in place, I'm sure. But
it's because in college it's not a spot foul. It's a 15-yard penalty. But if you did it in the NFL, if you just had like 15-yard penalty for pass interference, the guys would do it all the time because you're most likely going to get burned. So I don't like it. I think it's lame, and that's how some games are determined in the NFL. But I prefer a spot foul as opposed to a 15-yard penalty on pass interference.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
Because then it's set up where you don't want guys to do it.
Created equal?
Yes.
In that, if it's a 15-yard penalty?
Yes. Like, if it's just, if you're basically just mugging a guy at the line of scrimmage past 5 yards, then it's not going to hurt you as much. But if you throw a 50-yard bomb and you pull the guy down. I mean, that's how some guys just save touchdowns, but then it's put on the 1 yard line, and then so that was lame. If the Giants won that game based on that, that would be a lame way to end it. But incredible for the Broncos to score 33 fourth quarter points, a franchise record. I think the Broncos are good. I think the Giants are trending in the right direction. But if the Giants came away with this victory, we'd be thinking, all right, this might save Brian Dable's job, and I don't know anymore. So big setback for the Giants, who are trying, I think, to acquire a wide receiver at the deadline, and I don't know if they're going to have as big as aspirations as they did in the past with now this other loss, and now they're 2-5.
I think this type of thing will kind of help save a job if it would. If you're competitive like that against a good Broncos team, then sure. And how about, what's funny is on Sunday I was watching this game with the in-law, my father-in-law, along with the brother-in-law and his girlfriend, and we're all watching this one just kind of in shock. Like, and we're saying, me and Tony are sitting there, not Tony Vitello, Tony Cardoso. We're sitting there like, I think the Broncos are winning this. Like, as soon as they were going on that final drive before Bo Nix ran it in, it's like, it just feels like the football gods are on their side right now. Broncos are going to win, especially after that interception. But then there was also in the middle of that game when we're explaining, me and Michael, that is the brother-in-law, the history of Russell Wilson. And I think at one point, even we had two TVs. At one point on the other TV, we had a Russell Wilson compilation of him being weird, just to explain everything that happened with him in his career, whether it's Broncos country, let's ride, the dangerous Subway sandwich, Mr. Unlimited, all those different things where it's like Russell Wilson, he's not a human, he's a robot, all those different things. And then he has that moment where Sean Payton, it seems like he throws shade at him. I don't know if he did, but it sounded like he did. Talking about Jackson Dart. And Russell Wilson says classless, but not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15 plus years later through the media. Let's ride. But here's the thing. Russ can't even get a tweet right. You don't do an emoji sandwich. You don't do an emoji hashtag sandwich. You can't have the emoji as the bread and the hashtag as the meat. Who does two straight emojis, a hashtag, then another emoji right after that? Nobody. Only Russ. So I'm still not convinced.
That's why he's weird, because of the emoji sandwich.
I'm just saying, man. Who does the emoji sandwich? Like, write a tweet right. You got to end it with the hashtag. It always punctuates it with the hashtag.
Can you play Sean Payton? I see the video underneath you. Can you play that real quick? Because I want to give context to this, where he's praising Jackson Dart, saying, I didn't want to face him, but I don't think he's throwing shade at Russell Wilson, but you guys be the judge of this.
I have a ton of respect for that organization. I spent 4 of my early years there, coordinating Super Bowl, first game in this stadium before 9/11. Close with the Mayor Tisch family. And, they found a little spark with that quarterback. I was talking to John Mayer not too long ago, and I said we were hoping that change would have happened long after our game.
Okay. I understand why Russell would feel that way, but it's not direct shade. It's him trying to praise Jackson Dart. I thought, Russell Wilson could have responded to a lot of guys talking shit about him, his former teammates, and Richard Sherman or Marshawn Lynch. But instead, he tries to go after Sean Payton, and they did not have a good relationship whatsoever, it sounds like. But I think it's kind of weak for Russell Wilson as the backup quarterback now to go after Sean Payton like this when it was a not direct insult to Russell. It was just him trying to prop up Jackson Dart.
Where I'll give him the benefit of the doubt is in this little still shot right here. Because in this still shot, he's like, all right, I praise the owner. Now, how am I going to say this without sounding like too much of a dick to Russ?
Yeah.
Like, he literally had that moment of thought, like that brief pause right here.
And
all right, what am I going to say? Okay,
they found
now I got it. Yeah. All right, now I found it. Okay. They found a spark with that Jackson Dart kid.
We know that Sean Payton doesn't pull any punches. Like, if he wants to go after Nathaniel Hackett because he's a bad coach of the Broncos, he'll do it. he'll say that the Carolina Panthers don't have a good offense whatsoever.
Yeah.
He could have ripped Russell Wilson a new one if he wanted to. He just chose not to.
You got to be one fucked up person to get Russ to break his church persona.
Pretty much. But I don't think he did anything wrong there. Whatever.
That New Year's resolution I had to not look in the comments, total fail. I still do. They get me.
Eagles beat the Vikings 28-22, and it was really because Jalen Hurts threw the ball in this game to have a perfect passer rating. And I thought that maybe Brian Flores would come up with so many blitz packages that would throw off Jalen Hurts. Not the case. It was interesting. The Eagles' offense is either boom or bust. It's either electric plays or nothing. They're not getting anything going on the ground with Saquon Barkley right now. But when you have like a 4th and 4 play where they have a safety covering AJ Brown, he's gonna be wide open. The Vikings secondary is okay, but you can definitely pick it apart. Like Isaiah Rodgers made some amazing plays against the Cincinnati Bengals, but Devontae Smith and AJ Brown took him to school. And it's just sad what's happened to Carson Wentz. Like, I know he's just the backup quarterback right now and filling in for JJ McCarthy, but the guy that we saw in 2017, like I know the guy's never coming back. I've known that for quite some time, but like just to see like where he's at today as the backup quarterback and that ACL tear, where he was mentally after they won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. It's just kind of a sad story, to be honest. But going up against his former team and the interceptions he threw, the one to Jackson Hunt, the defensive lineman, and the one he threw to Makuba, I think his name is, the other Eagles cornerback. Those are just horrible passes. The first one he threw when he was pressured. Second one he just threw up for grabs. But yeah, the story of this game was the Vikings were in the red zone 6 times and only scored once as far as a touchdown. So
yeah,
the Eagles capitalized, Vikings did not. I'm not saying everything's kind of rectified with the Eagles right now offensively, but they got it done through the air, and yeah, they look like the team that we saw for the first 4 weeks of the season.
Well, after the Vikings ended up kicking the field goal that the Eagles would miss to make it 21-19, a really cool moment happened in the 4th quarter in the go-ahead touchdown to make it 28-19. It was that big play. You mentioned the name Isaiah Rodgers at the top. It was that big play to AJ Brown, and the mic'd up showed Jalen Hurts pointing at AJ Brown, and Isaiah Rodgers was reading that as him making an audible that he was going to go on the in-breaking route, and instead hits him on the double move to go over the top, which was just, I mean, that's poetry, baby. That's why people love just going back and watching these highlights, because there's those little things. That was sick. It's kind of like in a bit of the same sense as the 49ers. I don't know what to make of the Eagles right now. I really don't. And especially we have to bring it up. Do we have to? I'm going to. I'm sorry that I am, but I'm doing it. The AJ Brown Instagram post. What does that mean?
The one after the win?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. No, I didn't see it.
Oh, Derek, he's stirring the pot.
He won the game and he had 2 touchdowns. What's he complaining about?
Stirring the pot. Hocus pocus, baby. Put a spell on you and now you're mine. Using me, but not using me. What does that mean?
I don't know. Dude, you had a great game. I guess what he's trying to say is, use me like that every game. Well, yeah, but sometimes defenses aren't going to play you like that.
Yeah.
They were selling out the run to stop Saquon, and you were open against a safety, and their corners couldn't cover you. So,
good Lord, man.
The Eagles' offense is, like I said, boom or bust. It's either really electric or it's just a tush push.
Dude, they had over 300 yards receiving between him and Devontae Smith. And Smith obviously had that 79-yard touchdown, which I think was the longest touchdown reception of his career.
Yes,
I think AJ Brown was pissed that he didn't get those 183. Maybe that's
stop it.
Stop
it.
What's going on,
dude? He got 2 touchdowns. There's nothing to complain about after that game. Will it be like that every week? Probably not. There'll be a point where Saquon looks like the Saquon from a year ago and rushes for 150 yards at some point this season.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear jack shit from AJ Brown. I really don't. I'm tired of it.
And we also know, like, dude, we know that these things, whether they have like a hidden meaning that we don't know about. Like these things are a distraction. And, they're asking Jalen Hurts about it. Did you see the tweets? He basically said, yeah, I saw those earlier. Like, I'm just focused on the collective, though. I'm not really focused on some social media stuff. It's just little things like that, which deter them from the ultimate goal in mind. I don't know. It's just, I can't stand it. I really can't. These cryptic messages that are always being posted through social media, but doing it in the middle of a season after having a 121-yard game where you had the game-winning touchdown, not for me.
Yeah,
I like AJ Brown. I'm a big AJ Brown fan. Don't like the social media.
I don't like it either, and I don't think they're going to trade him away. But I do wonder if this will get in the way of them winning a Super Bowl, going back to back, because they're talented. They're not as talented on defense, but it's just like, as you said, Steven, the little things. The Colts might be the best team in all of football. They just run all over the Chargers, and the Chargers, they just have injuries right now. Their offensive line, they're down to like their 5th starting tackle. They're just banged up. They can't run with Kamani Vidal, whatever his name is. They need to find, like, Amarian Hampton will come back at some point, but Justin Herbert just can't do it all on his own. He's getting sacked every play. Not every play, but he's getting constantly pressured. DeForest Buckner, I think he had 2 sacks on him. He threw a bad interception in the end zone, but I know some people are like, the Chargers defense looks terrible right now. They played the Colts. The Colts, I mean, they have so much eye candy at the line of scrimmage. Like, it's like this guy's coming or that guy. Like, like you have Alec Pierce running, on a jet sweep possibly, or Michael Pittman. But no, you're handing the ball off to Jonathan Taylor, who's coming on an end around. And Jonathan Taylor looks like the offensive player of the year right now. Yeah. And Daniel Jones might be your comeback player of the year. But they're the most balanced team where they have an offense that you can't stop. It's probably the best offensive football right now with Daniel Jones, surprisingly, and their defense just attacks people. So, I don't know if the Chargers, we talked about the Chiefs earlier, like we went in on the Raiders and how terrible they look. The Chiefs look like the best team of football once again, how dominant they were and how they were able to, have these handoff plays, the end arounds to Rashee Rice. Like they look like they're clicking on all cylinders again offensively. The Chargers look great to start the season. I wonder if the injuries are catching up to them right now, and I don't know if they'll be able to win this division. But Colts look amazing. Chiefs look amazing. Chargers are struggling with their injuries.
Chargers are going to Charger, as they say. And maybe that doesn't apply to just an injury-riddled team, but when Justin Herbert throws for a career-high 420 yards passing and they still end up losing the game by a lot, yeah, I think that tells you something. But this, just looking at it from, without even taking any of that into account, just looking at this alone, their final drive, 21 plays, 9 minutes 14 off the clock, 67 yards and a turnover on downs. Ooh.
Yeah.
21 plays. That's insane. That's almost more than the Raiders ran the entire game.
Yep.
It's nuts.
Yeah. The Lions beat up on the Bucks 24-9. I think the Lions are the best team in the NFC. And God, I mean, you could say Christian McCaffrey's the best running back of football. You could say Jonathan Taylor. You could say Saquon Barkley. I think you have to say also Jahmyr Gibbs is in the conversation as well. Just his explosiveness to bust a 78-yard touchdown run. I mean, just the way their offense is able to. I say this every week, but the fact that they are not skipping a beat without Ben Johnson's incredible to me. And their defense, I think, is better than a year ago, and that's easy to say with Aiden Hutchinson being healthy now. But yeah, and it's sad to see Mike Evans get hurt in this game. He broke his collarbone. He probably won't be back until the postseason. The injuries are catching up with the Buccaneers. Like Emeka Ibuka wasn't 100% in this game, and Cameron Johnson, Tez Johnson are not, the best wide receivers. They filled in nicely when Fred Warner went down against the 49ers, but Baker Mayfield struggled in this game because he didn't have most of his offense. Bucky Irving was out as well. So I still think the Buccaneers are a pretty good team. I don't know if they're going to be, competing with the best of the best in the NFC when it's all said and done, but yeah, the Lions are the better team, and they handled it thoroughly against the Lions.
Buccaneers are going to need to get Bucky Irving back.
Sorry.
Bucks are going to need to get Bucky on the Bucks. They're going to need get him back if they want any chance of their offense to get rolling again. There's only so much Baker Mayfield can do. And yeah, the Fred Warner injury just kind of sucked the life out of everything and just changed the entire trajectory of that game. But as long as they get healthy, they'll be fine. And they're probably going to be back in playoff contention. But the Lions are just a well-oiled machine, dude. It's just the Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown connection. You mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think anyone was more wrong on any draft pick than these analysts have been on Gibbs and just how high he was taken. And I remember that being like the only questionable decision of that draft. And now it looks like it's one of the best decisions of that entire draft. It's like, it's not even a 78-yard run where he's bouncing to the outside and he's just using his speed, which we've seen him do. But this one is just going up the middle of the line of scrimmage, just following his blockers and then breaking out for a big run and then using that speed. Just crazy, man. It's so hard to not root for the Lions. They're just a fun team to watch, like week after week. I'd say, like, I don't know, maybe we do something eventually where it might be like a slower time and we're at the halfway point of the season, but we like kind of do our excitability rankings or our electrifying rankings or something.
Okay.
I think the Lions would be right up there.
Oh yeah, they're the most electric team in football. Like, they are the closest thing to the greatest show on turf with the way that they score points. And they're doing it with most of their secondary being injured right now. So yeah, the Lions, no doubt in my mind, are the best team in the NFC right now. Seahawks speed up on the Texans. Jackson Smith-Njigba is insane. 8 catches for 129 yards, 1 touchdown. He's on pace to have the most receiving yards in NFL history, eclipsing the record of Calvin Johnson back in the day. They look solid. They look like a balanced team. The way that they're able to run the football and throw with Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. Their defense is electric. They got a little lackadaisical in this game, committed 4 turnovers. The Texans' defense is legit. They have a great pass rush with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, and I think Derek Stingley Jr. is one of the better cornerbacks in all of football. It's just the offense is unwatchable. It's terrible. The offensive line, C.J. Stroud has regressed. I think it was a huge mistake to fire Bobby Slowick and go to this unproven guy and Nick Caley. I wonder if this is like a good landing spot for Mike McDaniel in the future if he gets fired from the Dolphins, which most likely he will. But this game got close when it shouldn't have, because I thought the Seahawks were just dicking around too much. But if the Texans had any shred of an offense, they probably would have won this game, but they didn't, because it's awful.
Yeah. The thing that gets me with the Seahawks, with the first guy you mentioned, Jackson Smith-Njigba has himself a quarterback, and there's this kind of, it was almost a mundane looking play, but it was one that led to, I think, a field goal in the first half, but it was one that went for like 26 yards. But it was this play where he's just doing an out route, making an out-breaking route. I think he's, he's finally breaking from his release at like the 15 to 20 yard line, or 15, 20 yards out from the line of scrimmage. But it was an anticipation throw, and Sam Darnold just drops it in there, making it look easy. Like, it's not that impressive. It's nothing that the play-by-play guys are going to go crazy for, where it sounds like, Tony Romo pees his pants or something during a play. Unlike that. But it's just this kind of pitch and catch type deal where it's not that easy. And it's just, you could tell that these two are so just in sync. And I think that the Seahawks, I don't know what they're going to do as far as like playoffs, but I think they can easily be like a spoiler for later on in the season when teams are vying for, maybe the top seed in the NFC. I don't know what their schedule looks like. But that's definitely a team to, I don't know if they're going to win the NFC West. I think they can make it in via the wild card, but they all have, them and the Rams and the Niners all have the same record. So who knows what can happen for the rest of the season. Maybe they could end up winning the division. I think they actually can, but God, they're just so talented. And if all else fails, if it looks like, the Seahawks just got nothing going, no rhythm on offense. I think that connection with Darnold to JSN, it's just going to come out of nowhere, and it's going to give them new life in later down the stretch. And it kind of did in this one. They didn't really have much going for them on that drive. I mean, they only ended up with a field goal,
right?
Still, it's just that connection, man. It's crazy.
No, it's maybe the best going right now in football. And as long as Sam Darnold doesn't look like he did in the Lions and Rams game a year ago, where the blitz just got after him and he looked like a deer in the headlights or seeing ghosts once again, they'll be fine. The Packers beat up, or not beat up, but they win against the Arizona Cardinals 27-23. Parsons has 3 sacks, a career high, and that's why you go out and get him. He's, you trade 2 first-round picks so he can, pretty much dictate a game like that. I will say the Packers, they have to prove it to me that they're one of the better teams in the NFC. It feels like they're playing down to their opponents. Like since week 2, where they dominated week 1 against the Lions and then dominated the Commanders, since then, they haven't looked fantastic to me. They're just getting by right now with their defense being solid. You mentioned earlier Nate Hobbs seems like out of place. I would say that whole secondary, with the exception of Xavier McKinney, I'd say that's the weak link on their defense. Everything else is solid. Their defensive line's great. Their linebacker core is great. They, if they're rushing the passer, then they're probably getting after you. But if you can contain them, then you could probably pick apart that secondary a little bit. But I know that, they're kind of a basic offense, kind of like the Eagles, where they run with Josh Jacobs over and over again, and then they throw to Tucker Kraft, and he's their big playmaker. Once they get Christian Watson back, and once they get Jaden Reed back, it could be different. But I saw Rex Ryan go in on Jordan Love saying he's bound to turn the ball over in the closing minutes of a game. I don't know about that. He's not doing anything exciting. He hasn't looked like the quarterback I saw 2 years ago in that playoff game against the Cowboys. So they're good. I don't know if they're great, though.
No, but you at least saw Micah Parsons come through in the closing moments where he just looks like a wrecking ball out there. So, I mean, they got plenty of time to clean it up, but I don't think it's going to be their offense that wins them games going into the playoffs. I think it's going to be these kind of grinded out games where it's going to have to be a defensive battle if they want to get through.
Yeah, but that could be their downfall if they don't have enough offensively, especially with that offensive line.
Big fact.
The Commanders look like they're in trouble right now with their injuries. Jaden Daniels, he's not going to play in the game against the Chiefs coming up this week. And is it Dorian Armstrong?
Yes. Or Dorrance, excuse me.
Dorrance. He's out for the season. They have struggles defensively. They're beat up offensively too, not having Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin in this game. The Cowboys, a lot of people were skeptical about Brian Schottenheimer, and this offense is one of the best and one of the best offenses in all of football right now, with the way they're able to run the football with Javonte Williams. And Dak looks great right now with 16 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. So I'm not saying the Cowboys are going to the postseason, but they look like a better team offensively than the Commanders do. They're just reeling right now with their injuries.
They found a running back.
Yep,
they found a running back. I think that changes everything for them. Like CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, they're awesome, but Javonte Williams is having a career year right now. Last season, in his 17 games, he had just 28 more carries than he's had through the first 7 games this year. But this season, he's already had, oh good God, how many yards is that? 79 more rushing yards, 20 fewer carries, 79 more yards, and we're not even halfway into the year yet. Like, Javonte Williams has just been kind of a revelation for them.
No, he definitely has.
Did not expect that.
No, he could be in your conversation for comeback player of the year as well.
I love that guy, actually.
And yeah, I meant
with the Broncos.
No, he's been solid. I mentioned the London game. Rams beat up on the Jags 35-7. Stafford throws 5 touchdown passes, 3 to Devontae Adams. They just found a way to win without Puka Nacua being out there. And it's easy when the Jags, they played solid defense in the second half, but it really was them going for it on 4th down over and over and over again and not converting. And I thought after a while, like, just kick some field goals. Like, even Kurt Warner in the 4th quarter was like, you're losing 21-0. Like, kick some field goals and you be down 21-9. You score a touchdown, you're back in the game. They were 2 for 6 on 4th down. The Rams were the better team. They were. And I think it was Sean McVay knowing Liam Cohen very well from back in the day together. But the Jaguars just kicked themselves or shot themselves in the foot repeatedly in this game.
You think any English fans out there were like, just anyone who happen to be Jaguars fans out there, just because they've played out there so much, take the fucking point.
Yes, definitely in that accent as well.
God,
The
Trevor
inflection
Lawrence,
on
man.
fucking.
Yeah. Take the fucking points.
Take the
you
fucking
gay.
points. Kick the field goal, Liam. Browns beat up on the Dolphins. Browns defense is legit. Tua throws 3 more interceptions. Are you surprised that Mike McDaniel wasn't fired? Not that I want that to happen, but I was shocked after the way this game looked that he was still employed by them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course I am. Dude, like, of course. I thought he'd be done, especially after losing to that Browns team.
Yeah.
Not good, man. Not good. It feels like it's going to happen. Just when? He has to know it's going to happen, right? Like that whole thing. I honestly didn't watch this game. I'll be 100% honest. I didn't.
No,
but that's thing
totally fine.
where Quinn Ewers is making his first start, he comes back and McDaniel just shuns him. Just shuns him and he's walking back to the huddle.
Talking about the preseason game, or what are you referring to?
No, this one. Quinn Ewers got into this game.
Yeah.
And when he walked back into the huddle, I don't know, maybe we're making too much of it, but usually the head coach would acknowledge the quarterback as he's walking back. It felt like Mike McDaniel made a point to not even acknowledge him walking back to the sideline, jogging back to the sideline, like not giving any advice. I'm sorry. Like, I just don't think that's what a coach does. Like, you don't just shun your player, especially after making his first career start, not giving him any word of encouragement. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's harsh. Maybe he did eventually, and he was just focused on something else. And later on, he went to go say something to him when he was sitting on one of those heated benches, which in NFL lore, apparently they're hot as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just not a good look.
No, I think that Mike McDaniel could see the writing on the wall. Like, it was back in, training camp where he was like, we're one day closer to death. Like, I think he knew that he was on the hot seat and he knew this team was not going to save him. And I was surprised it didn't happen this week. They're playing Atlanta, so maybe they want to have the firing happen when they're at home. The next time they're at home, I guess, is against the Buffalo Bills. After this week, they're playing on Thursday night against the Ravens. So if they go 1-7, I don't think they're going to fire McDaniel after that game either. So I don't know. I feel bad. Tua's not making sense in his press conferences. Neither is Mike McDaniel. So it's just got to check in my guy, Tommy Call, because it's a fucking train wreck for the Dolphins right now.
Yeah, I know.
And then the other games, look, as expected, Patriots beat up on the Titans. The Bears beat up on the Saints. And, God, the Jets are just pitiful offensively. Like, we don't even know who the starting quarterback's going to be, but who cares? Like, I saw Aaron Glenn today be like, I'm trying to have a competitive advantage right now with not telling you guys who the quarterback's going to be. It's like, dude, you're 0-7. Who gives a shit at this point? Just try to win a fucking game.
Did you see? Did you see that NFL mic'd up clip that they showed of Ben Johnson?
No, I haven't yet. No, but I heard about it.
Dude is basically the T-1000 or the T-2000, whatever that's from Terminator 2.
Yeah,
stone faced, 3 interceptions, no reaction at all, nothing. He saves it for the end of the game in the locker room.
He expects it.
Yes. Yeah. It's crazy, man. The confidence that he has. And I don't know if he's like that all the time. Maybe it's because they're playing the Saints and the Saints just aren't very good. But him just stone-faced, watching dudes almost did one return for a touchdown. No, they didn't.
No.
One almost return for a touchdown, though. And him just arms crossed, walking along the sideline like he's a 10-year vet. Wild.
On to the next play. That's how Ben Johnson operates. Real quick, Thursday Night Football.
Ooh.
You are not going to be here, though, this weekend.
Yeah.
And Alon's in the chat. He's going to do the show with me on Saturday. I also ask Alon in the chat, who do you like, Alon? We got the, I think it's Vikings and Chargers. Aaron Jones is back. Let me see what we got here.
T1000 advanced prototype of my Mimetech polyalloy liquid meta. Thank you, Alon. That is very detailed T2 knowledge.
Alon is a Skynet fan. All right, Alon. The Chargers are 3.5-point favorites, over under 44.5. Let me know what your pick is. I'm going with the Chargers. I'll lay the points. I'll go under on the 44.5. So you let me know what your pick is in the chat here. Well, real quick, Steven, before we get out of here, Warriors. They won last night, 119 to 109 over the Los Angeles Lakers. And I thought this team was going to be competitive. I mean, obviously. Sorry, it's late. I'm trying to wrap my brain around what happened last night. Okay. Jimmy Butler had a great game. Perfect at the free throw line.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy Hield was great off the bench. I think with 17 points. They just look like themselves from a year ago in the regular season. Pick it up where they left off.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give credit where credit is due. Jonathan Kuminga looked great last night. And if he could be that Jonathan Kuminga where he rebounds, passes the ball, and shoots some threes, I'm all for it. I think people get it misconstrued where I don't hate Jonathan Kuminga by any means. I hate the discourse around him. It can't just be where, you could be both a Kuminga guy and a Kerr guy. You got to be on one side or the other because they hate each other. I don't want it to be like that. And I hated the way that he conducted himself, not himself, but just like the whole thing this offseason. And maybe that's not even his fault. Maybe it's more so his agent's fault. So here's what I'm going to do the rest of the way. I'm rooting for Jonathan Kuminga to be a difference maker on this team. Do I expect him to stay? No, but I'm not going to bring it up all the time. So for the here and now, I want him to buy into what his role is. And if his role is starting, then by all means, I'm for that. If it's coming off the bench, then he needs to accept that as well. And there's going to be nights where they're not going to have Draymond play the 5. I'm surprised they did last night, but I guess it called for the matchup. There's going to be nights where Al Horford does start as a starting 5, and then Kuminga needs to come off the bench. But yeah, if that's a Kuminga we're going to get routinely, then I'm all for that. And as far as the Warriors, Steph Curry was Steph Curry with another night 3. The Lakers were not, kind of depleted without LeBron James. Luka got his, but the Warriors just are a better team right now. I do wonder about the age, but they look great last night. Just a matter of how long it's going to look like that, when I'm sure at some point Steph Curry's going to miss time, or Draymond or Jimmy. It's just bound to happen with their age. So last night had me feeling hopeful about this team. It's just one game, but out the gate, I was really impressed with the way they looked.
Dude, I just love the vibe around them right now. Like, the vibe is sky high. And maybe it's like just because I watched the 3 videos that the Warriors posted where they followed the team around from training camp, but the little things where, they're all crowding around to say happy birthday, I think, to a couple of coaches, whoever's birthday it was, and then Draymond saying like, all right, we'll sing the normal version and then we'll sing the black version. And then he looks at Quentin Post. He's like, looks at Quentin Post. He's like, Quentin, what's the black version? And then he goes into Stevie Wonder's like, happy birthday. And then everyone's like, yeah. And there's different, just different things around this team that you just love. And the Kuminga thing, like, I'm done with that discourse. Like, I'm already seeing people who are out there saying like, oh, see what happens when the head coach actually gives him a chance. I'm like, Kuminga didn't give him a reason to give him a chance last year.
Thank you.
I think if you listen to anything that they said post-game, they're telling you as much. Even Draymond is saying it. It's not to say they gave up on Kuminga, but he just was not making winning plays. And even he said at the time, like, Kuminga's not making those rebounds. He's not doing the backdoor cuts and making the immediate decision whenever they're going after Steph Curry. Like, he's matured and he's gotten better. And I think we can all acknowledge that. Unfortunately, it just has to go that if you criticized him in the past, then you're going to be held to that, which is just a messed up way to look at things just in general in life. And I think, to be honest, I still stand by what I said. Like even today, like, going into 95.7 and just walking by, that like, all of you guys gave up on Kuminga. I stuck by him. It's like, no, I had a nuanced conversation about him, I'd like to think. And at the time, it did not look like he was going to be a part of this team's future. But if he plays like that, I'm all for it. I mean, there was that one little mistake on that inbounds play where Austin Reeves was just wide open after the timeout. But other than that, like, he's rebounding, he's active, he's scoring, he's doing all these little things. I love the way that the team is just operating. And, they're relying on their stars. I love the way that they just talk. Like, listening to them talk after the game, crediting each other. It's not like me. It's even with Kuminga's too. Kuminga's just like, look, I'm just focused on improving here, building around these guys. Jimmy Butler saying something to the effect of, like we are going to have his back every step of the way, and we are going to help him be great. I want to help him be great. He's got such raw talent, such raw athleticism that if we are able to unlock that, then I'll feel okay. Little things like that. Then, the whole wager with Draymond. I do have a question though. You heard that right after
No
the
chance.
the free throw thing. There's no chance that it's happening, but also what's on the line? What's at stake? I want to know that. What does a friendly wager look like with guys who have made $100 million in their career?
Yeah, I want to know the details of that. The wager that we're talking about is Jimmy bet Draymond that Jimmy Butler would have a better free throw percentage than Steph Curry this season. And I think that's foolish, but I like that Jimmy has that goal this season.
Yeah, man. And I don't think he's going. I mean, shoot, he's probably going to have more attempts. Like
Yes.
he had twice as many as Steph did last night. But I also love, I think we found kind of unlocked a new, I don't want to say meme, but like a video that I could post to Twitter at some point when someone makes like a funny joke or something. But let me see if I can find it here.
I'm not kidding. So whether it got
hang on, gonna move forward. All right, here we go.
Got a bet with I don't think it's a bad bet, but it's kind of a bad bet. With Dre, that I got to shoot a better percentage than number 30 on our team. Yeah, right. Ooh. Yeah.
That's how I would react to it with a room full of people. Be like, "Ooh, you can't do that." Sure as shit, I can.
Number 30 on our team. Yeah, right. Ooh. Yeah. So
that's pretty good.
Oh, that cracked me up.
But no
so,
chance.
Look,
No,
man, I'm
no
telling
chance.
you, I love the vibe around this team right now. I don't think. I mean, Butler's like a career mid-80 free throw percentage type guy. I don't know if he's going to get in the low to mid-90s like Steph will. But either way, that'll be something fun to keep up with. Again, just the attitude of this team right now. You feel so good about things. I can't explain it.
Yeah, I mean, the win last night was kind of reminiscent of the way the 2021 season started and the 2021-2022 championship run, where they went into LA and beat them opening night. Not going to ahead of myself, though. It did look good last night.
Sure.
I do wonder how they'll compete against, the Thunder and the Rockets and the Nuggets, who I think have the best offseason of anybody in the NBA, and they'll play them tomorrow. But they did look good. They looked really good last night.
Yeah, and it's not to say that, listen to Draymond after. He said, I think it was responding like Emmerman's question. And he's like, I don't know. It's a win.
Yeah.
That's great. But, got a long way to go. So, we're just going to keep on pushing and just going with the rest of the cliches. And I also really think, and something that caught the eye when watching the Warriors training camp videos, the mic'd up stuff, was when Kerr walked up to Jimmy on the bench after Will Richard made a play. He's like, "Hey, that kid Will's like pretty good." And Butler's like, "Yeah, he's going to be a player." And you saw a sequence where Will Richard is it's all effort. It's all effort where he grabs a rebound on one end, goes coast to coast, and then dishes it out for an assist. I think they got a really nice piece off the bench there. Al Horford, he had a stretch there, was terrible. Like if you go and look at the plus minuses of those guys on the bench, like Will Richards at -11 and Al Horford's at -10.
He just joined the team, though.
Yeah, those are a little flawed. But that's the only blemish on the game that I could think of where Al Horford just couldn't keep up with these younger guys in the second half because it's the first game of the season. I understand.
Exactly. Will Richard looks really nice. Al Horford's 39 years old. He just joined the team a month ago because of the whole Kuminga saga. He's going to be effective for them. He fits, the offense. He'll be a great stretch five for them. Last night wasn't great, though. And that was a good situation to have where Draymond was the starting five, and you can kind of get, to shake the cobwebs off of Al Horford. All right, everybody, We've been on for way too long. I'm tired as fuck. If you could not tell, I apologize. Steven, have a great time in Oregon this weekend. And Alon's going to join me on Saturday at 11 o'clock. To everybody in the chat, to our guy, Van. What's up, Van? Better late than never, my man. Alon, thank you for joining us. I'll see you on Saturday. We got Rockin' New Arrow. We got Lauren F. We got Tacky, who showed up for a little bit of time. We got AJ Cruz, who may have bounced after we weren't happy with his McFadden criticism. And we got skills report. We got Ernie 1. And I believe that is it. Everybody, we'll see you on Saturday. Steven, say what you always say.
And says, seems I missed all the Raiders talk. We'll listen to it later. Not if you want to cheer yourself up tonight. Just listen to that when you are ready. That's just our opinion, man.